Wow, Ryan Poles was not done. The Chicago Bears have traded linebacker Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens for a second round pick and a fifth round pick in 2023. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears news update video, which I'll be doing anytime the Chicago Bears news going on. Obviously, the trade deadline is tomorrow, November 1st. So in case we make any other trades, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll make videos breaking down those trades if they happen. We've already made two pretty major trades now, okay? Robert Quinn we traded away last week, and now Roquan Smith. Okay, one of the best players on the Chicago Bears team. He's a guy that got drafted by the Bears in the first round at pick number 8. Obviously not by this regime, though. He was drafted by Ryan Pace, the former regime, and he's had some great seasons for the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, this year he's been having a very up and down season. Okay, he's been very inconsistent in this new defense. Yesterday against the Cowboys, he played probably the worst game of his entire career. Okay, whiffed on some tackles, took some bad angles, and it seems like he's been pretty up and down this entire year, which is why I feel like the Chicago Bears made this trade. And it also probably has to do with what happened in the offseason with Roquan Smith, because obviously, if you guys remember, Roquan Smith had a pretty public, kind of ugly offseason dispute with the front office. It wasn't like a big fight or anything, but it was kind of like going back and forth between Roquan Smith and Ryan Poles. Obviously, Roquan Smith wanted reportedly $20+ million per year. He also did not have the agent representing him, so that made matters a little bit more difficult. There was a whole Saint Omni situation, which if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go back to watch my videos covering the situation, which happened in like early August. So it was clear that Ryan Poles and Roquan Smith did not see eye to eye. In my last video, guys, after the loss of the Cowboys, I was actually talking about Roquan Smith and talking about his future with the Bears, because I thought it might be possible that the Bears would trade him, just because it seemed like he was not a very natural fit in this new 4-3 scheme. Okay, he's been very up and down, and it seemed like if he wanted $20+ million per year, you know, at least this year, his play probably did not necessarily equate to that number. Now, for the Baltimore Ravens, it could be a different story, right? Because the Baltimore Ravens do have a different defense. Maybe they deploy Roquan Smith in a different way than the Bears defense did. And he's a very good football player, guys, regardless. Like, I know he has been pretty up and down this year, but he's had all pro seasons. He's leading the NFL, I believe, in tackles right now. Obviously, he's had some bad moments too with the Bears currently, but he could be a very good football player for the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm not going to root against Roquan Smith, because this guy has been a fan favorite for a lot of us Bears fans. Okay, it's given me personally a lot of fun moments as a Bears fan. He's had interceptions, he's had big plays, he was obviously a big part of the 2018 Bears defense too, one of the best Bears defenses I've ever seen in my life. And I got nothing bad to say about Roquan Smith. It does hurt to see him go, because I thought he might be a Chicago Bear for a long time before the season started. But like, once the game started, I could also tell like this probably was not going to be the best fit in the current defense. And with how much money he wanted from the Chicago Bears, it seemed unlikely the Bears would pay him however much money he did want. So to get a trade for him right now, even though it does suck right now, you know, trading away one of our best players, I think long term, this is a very good move for the Chicago Bears to get value out of a guy that might have left in the offseason. Okay, Roquan Smith was a free agent at the end of this year. We could have franchise tagged him maybe, but the franchise tag for linebackers is pretty high, okay, because that takes into account left outside linebackers, right outside linebackers, like pass rushers too, okay? So the franchise tag would have been a boatload of money, and if we cannot come to a long-term extension at the end of this year, Roquan Smith probably would have wanted a trade again, okay? Because he wants his money, he wants a long-term deal, and the Baltimore Ravens probably are willing to give him however much money he wants. So to get a second round pick and a fifth round pick out of Roquan Smith, okay, an off-ball linebacker, even though he's a fantastic football player, okay, I don't want to talk badly about Roquan Smith because I have nothing but good things to say about him, but guys, to get that much return for a player that was probably going to leave you, that doesn't play a very, you know, valued position right now in the NFL, I think that's fantastic for the Chicago Bears long term. Because me personally, I thought we would probably get a second, maximum maybe a third. I definitely not think we would get a fifth along with that, okay, to get another day 3 pick. And I know that Bears fans, you know, some of them did want a first round pick in return for Roquan. That was always very unrealistic. That was never going to happen. I mean, I said that in my videos in the offseason too. Like, it was not very likely anybody would pay a first for an off-ball linebacker after, you know, you're also going to have to pay him $20+ million per year. Okay, that's not how the value system works in the NFL. So to get a second and a fifth is probably the best return we could have gotten out of him. And I think that Ryan Poles is conducting this rebuild pretty effectively if I look at his previous moves, okay, because he's not scared to make the big unpopular moves like he's done multiple times in the offseason. He's traded away 3 of our best defensive players, Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, and Roquan Smith. Now, Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn were aging. They were getting older, so making a trade for them obviously didn't make sense because they did not fit the long-term vision of the Chicago Bears. But trading away Roquan Smith, okay, a guy that is still pretty young, for a second and a fifth round pick, obviously is not going to be a very popular decision among the Bears fan base, because a lot of us did love Roquan Smith. We wanted to see him be with Chicago for a long time. But when taking into account the fit of Roquan Smith in the scheme, how much money he wanted, the value of an off-ball linebacker, he made the decision that probably is going to benefit the Chicago Bears. If you're going to do a rebuild, it's best to go all in on that rebuild. Yes, the rest of the year now, our defense may suck, okay? I mean, it did suck with the Roquan last game against the Cowboys, regardless, but like it might be worse now because you don't have one of your best players on the defense. And yes, our record probably at the end of this year is not going to be anything special. We're probably not going to make the playoffs because our defense is not to that caliber yet. Our offense still has too many holes on it. But if you are doing a rebuild, it is best to go all in on that rebuild. Don't half-ass it like some other GMs in the NFL do. Okay, you want to build the most sustainable roster for the long term. Okay, you want to be competitive for the long term so you can avoid a situation like in 2018 where we were good for 1 year, but then we sucked for 4+ years after that, okay, because we did not build that roster in a very sustainable way. We were trading away so many picks. We were overpaying some guys in free agency. So obviously, that's why Ryan Pace did not work out in Chicago. But Ryan Poles so far has been the complete opposite in every single aspect. Okay, he's trying to get as many picks as possible. He's trying to clear up cap space. And I know this does not mean anything until we see what he turns these picks into, until we see what he turns the space into. So yes, don't crown Ryan Poles already, but this is the first time in a long time that I feel like the Chicago Bears have a serious chance to build a long-term foundation for the entire franchise, okay? Because if you look at the amount of money and draft picks we have next season, okay, so I'll put a tweet on the screen right now, but the Bears have over $100 million in cap space. We have almost 130 actually, and we're obviously not going to have to pay Roquan now because he's not on the team anymore. So we have a lot of money. We'll have a lot of money for a long time because obviously we cannot use all this cap space in just 1 year. So we'll have a lot of money for probably 4 or 5+ years. We'll be in good position with the cap. And if you look at our draft picks, man, this is a dream for any GM in the NFL because, man, we have a boatload of draft picks. Okay, we have a first round pick, we have our own second round pick, now we have another second round pick, we have a third round pick, we have a fourth round pick, another fourth round pick, we have our own fifth round pick, another fifth round pick from the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously a seventh round pick as well. So guys, for a young rebuilding team, man, this is the absolute dream, okay, to have this many draft picks, okay, especially when your last GM did not have that many any year he was in Chicago because he kept on trading all of them away, okay? But Ryan Poles is getting as many as possible because the more swings you take in the draft, the higher chance you have of landing some really good players in the draft. And Ryan Poles is seriously being smart with how, you know, he's allocating the future money and the resources of this team, right? Because, again, that's one area where Ryan Pace really did struggle in planning for the future. Well, now the Chicago Bears do have a long-term foundation they can build on if they actually hit on these draft picks and if they spend their money wisely, which, again, is a big if, okay? So I'm not going to crown Ryan Poles already for just getting all these picks and getting all this money. But if he hits on some of these picks, if he hits on, you know, some of the free agent signings that he makes in the offseason, the Bears are going to be in very, very good position to compete for the NFC North title for a long time to come, and hopefully Super Bowl titles as well down the road. So obviously losing Roquan Smith does suck. I mean, this opens up a big hole now at linebacker. Remains to be seen who's going to fill that hole. It might be Jack Sanborn, okay, my UDFA crush from the offseason, a guy that played really well at Wisconsin. I feel like he was a steal by us in undrafted free agency, so maybe we see him play a much bigger role now in the Chicago Bears. Maybe we see Sterling Weatherford playing a guy that we claimed from the Indianapolis Colts. So there's like a lot of different options we could put at linebacker. Obviously, we're not going to have a very good defense right now because we're way too young now. We have holes on the D-line. We traded away one of our best players, but long term, man, this could really benefit the future of the Chicago Bears. And guys, even with Roquan Smith, you know, as much as I do love him, he was not playing really good football down the stretch this year. He played pretty good against the Patriots, but that game against the Cowboys is probably the worst game I've seen him playing as a pro. So hopefully he does better for the Baltimore Ravens. I wish him the best of luck there because, again, this is a guy that really played hard for us, had good seasons with us, and obviously, you know, we love our middle linebackers, but unfortunately it was not meant to be in Chicago. Wish Roquan Smith the best of luck. Let me know what you guys think about this trade in the comments down below, but as always, bear down.